welcome to the Dram Amateur Podcast. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Dram Amateur Podcast. My name is Jason. Thank you all so much for joining today. Very much appreciate it. If you do not follow the Dram Amateur on social media, I would appreciate a follow. Love to interact with you online and get to know you more. Appreciate all the feedback from my listeners as well that follow me. You can follow me on Instagram under dram_amateur. That's where you'll find all of my pictures and stories and reels and everything about the Dram Amateur Podcast. Again, would love to interact with you and get to know you more. But thanks for joining today. Appreciate it. It's been a hot minute since I recorded a podcast, and we are way out of schedule right now. I went to when I first started doing the podcast, I was at a weekly schedule, and I then changed to 2 weeks, and then December hit, and that was a complete fucking shit show between traveling and being sick, and the holiday, of course. And then January came, and I had more traveling. So yeah, I was off the first week of, well, I wasn't off the first week of January, but I didn't travel the first week of January. I worked, obviously, but then the week after, I ended up going to Mexico City for work. We had our big a leadership or a quarterly leadership meeting down there, and I have a team in Mexico as well, so I got to go to Mexico and had a great time. It's my third time in Mexico City, so we were there for the week, and it was great, man. Weather's really nice down there. It was like low 70s during the day, low 50s at night, no humidity, so it was gorgeous. People down there are great. It's my third time, I think, in Mexico. Yeah, it's my third time in Mexico City. The first two times, I really haven't had much time to go out and sightsee or do anything like that. But so this time I had a little bit of time. So we had meetings, flew down Monday, had meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I got to meet with my team on Thursday, which was great. Got to finally meet them for the first time after working very closely with them after a year. So it was great to see them. Got to hang out with them. We went out, we did a little sightseeing and shopping, not shopping, but in the shopping district in Mexico, and then had a fantastic dinner in Mexico as well. It was like this rooftop restaurant overlooking like one of the big squares in Mexico. It was really, really pretty. The food was amazing. Food in Mexico is definitely really, really good. We had, I ended up having Italian food one night, which was really good. I had fish with dinner. I didn't have like actual Italian food. Then we had Mexican food one night, and the Mexican food was great. It was like shredded redfish, and like cut up pieces of shrimp in this like red sauce, but it wasn't like your United States red sauce. It was like this really dark red sauce. It had a little bit of spice to it, but the flavor was unbelievable. So it was like mixed in that. And then my favorite thing in all of Mexico, I know you're probably going to say it's probably tequila. No, surprisingly, it's not. My favorite thing in Mexico was not tequila, or is not tequila. My favorite thing in Mexico is corn tortillas. I remember the first time I went to Mexico City, I went with a colleague of mine from Germany, and I remember him telling me, like, whatever we had gotten, he's like, you need corn tortillas. And I'm like, man, I don't like corn tortillas. He's like, no, trust me. He's like, you got to have the corn tortillas in Mexico City, or in Mexico. Completely different than the U.S. I'll tell you what, they really truly are. They're what I was told by people on my team is that the corn that they make the corn tortillas with in Mexico City is different than the corn that we can get in the U.S., from what I understand. So like legitimately, like they are to die for. So that meal that we had on Wednesday night, they brought out like this like oven mitt, and it was just packed with corn tortillas, and like they're freshly made. They were hot and steaming. I could barely pull one out. And then you took like the red fish the shredded red fish and the shrimp and the red sauce, and you like scooped it and you put it on the corn tortilla. Oh my gosh. It's corn tortillas in Mexico are literally life-changing. I come home and eat corn tortillas and I'm instantly disappointed because I cannot get the same corn tortillas here in the US that I can in Mexico. So I need to probably go to like a market. There's a couple of Spanish markets in the town I live in. I probably need to go try to see what I can find there, but I'll tell you what, it's fantastic. What else do we do? We had, I tried a couple unique food items when I was in Mexico. First one was, crickets. So at the dinner we went to at the Mexican restaurant, a lot of us drank tequila. Half the table drank tequila. The other half didn't. I just went with whatever they ordered for tequila. So we ended up drinking 2 bottles of Don Julio. It was unbelievable. Like we went through, I think there was 7 of us regularly drinking tequila, and 3 people kind of drinking tequila, but we went through 1 bottle of tequila pretty fast. The next bottle of tequila came and it got down pretty fast as well. So between, I'd say probably 7 of us, we drank 2 bottles of tequila that night. I think I had at dinner 10 to 12 pours of tequila, at least 2-ounce pours of tequila. Don Julio, not my favorite. And this is the thing too. Let me finish the story first. So we did that. But one thing that I'll tell you now, I'm really surprised about the tequila selection in Mexico City. There was not a lot of your G4s, your Los Abuelos in Mexico. There was not Tequila Ocho. There was not Cascanes. Like there was not the tequila selection that we have in the U.S. And I'll be honest with you, I was quite shocked about that. I had sat next to a colleague of mine at dinner on Tuesday night when we went to the Italian restaurant, and we were talking about tequila. She says, she was telling me about the distilleries, and she says her family really enjoys it as well. And it was really cool. So we talked a lot about it. And at that time I was drinking Siete Leguas, Blanco. So we were even talking about like the types, and I said, she's like, well, what kind do you like? And I'm like, I'm definitely a still strength Blanco fan. I like the unaged tequila because I think it has more flavor. And she really appreciated that. She like I felt like the añejos and the extra añejos takes a lot of the flavor out of the tequila itself, and you get more of the barrel flavor, which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but I like the uniqueness of the tequila. So we were talking about, Blancos, still strength Blancos, and Reposados. There was not a lot of still strength Blanco in Mexico, and even when I was talking about it, I had to explain it to them. And I think it might be just because like I don't know if it's a U.S. market thing, like the still strength Blanco thing. I'm not saying that nobody in Mexico drinks still strength Blanco, but I think it might be something in the U.S. that's more popular because of the other spirits that we have and the high alcohol content of those spirits. So it might be something you see more regularly in the U.S. than you do maybe in Mexico. I did not see any still strength Blanco anywhere I went. So both at the airport store, at the duty free stores, and in all the restaurants. Like I walked up to the bar and looked at bottles and didn't see anything. But the only I don't want to say the only additive free tequila. The only additive free tequila I was aware of, brand wise, that I saw in Mexico at 4 restaurants and the airport was Siete Leguas. I did see the Jose Cuervo de la Familia, which is fine. I have several bottles of those. I didn't buy them, but like I was looking for the Cascane. I was really looking for Los Abuelos. Like I would have loved to have a Poro Los Abuelos, which I'm sure is the same as Fortaleza in the U.S., but it still would have been cool to have a pour of Los Abuelos from a bottle of Los Abuelos in Mexico. But anyways, that was really good. So we ended up drinking 2 bottles of Don Julio. They're big Don Julio fans down in Mexico City, for at least the people I was hanging around with. But I had two very unique food items. I had crickets. So when they brought out guacamole at dinner, they normally bring out crickets with it. So fried crickets. They were really good. So you're supposed to put them in the guacamole, and you scoop the guacamole out with a chip, and you eat it with the cricket and the guacamole. It was good. I even had several crickets by themselves. We were passing crickets around and doing like cheers with crickets. But it was good. I mean, they were good, legs and all, man. I mean, crooked leg and all. It was good. And then on Thursday night, when I went out with my team, I had a fantastic dinner. A lot of like appetizers, and then we had like little like tacos, like smaller tacos, like street taco size, and had like 4 or 5 different varieties of those. One of the people on my team ended up getting like a larger dinner, and they had like this, so it's like a Mexican dish with like a hard Mexican tortilla on the bottom, something in the middle, like beans and chicken or something in the middle. And then on top, it's another hard Mexican tortilla. And it had like lettuce and sauce and all that stuff. And it had buttered ant eggs on top. Wicked unique, right? Not like smothered everywhere, but like this is a really nice restaurant. So imagine them placed strategically around the top, right? So I took a piece of it. So I took a piece of the whole thing, and man, they were good, man. I mean, when you ate it with something, they were good. Definitely earthy flavor. The butter, you can taste the butter in them too. I mean, man, they were good. They were not bad at all. So really good time. Had a lot of fun down there. My trip back was a little dicey. We were supposed to leave. I was meeting my wife in Orlando for vacation, and I was supposed to leave at 6:45, and there was another flight after me at 8:30. We didn't end up leaving till 9:30, 9:45. We sat on the tarmac in the plane for an hour and a half, 2 hours. The other plane took off and went to Orlando, and when we were sitting there waiting to take off, the flight attendant or the pilot even had said that we're not flying into Orlando, that they're looking because of storms, which there wasn't any. So I didn't understand that. They wanted to divert us to Miami. They couldn't do that either. So that was a little weird. And then they were trying to find a flight plan for us. So my wife was driving down from Georgia to Orlando. She was going to meet me. The whole plan was for me just to take an Uber from the airport to go meet her at the hotel. And unfortunately, it worked out. So we ended up taking off. So I'm texting her not on airplane mode, as we're like on the tarmac and taxiing out to the runway. I'm like, I have no idea where we're going. Didn't announce anything. I'll text you when I land. And she didn't know where I was landing. I didn't know where I was landing when I took off. So she was kind of disappointed and upset. But we got in the air, which I was thankful for. At least we were getting out of there, like I said, 3-4 hours later than we were supposed to. And then the pilot still never mentioned anything. So I had asked that flight attendant when they were doing drink service. I was like, hey, excuse me. He didn't announce where we were going. Are we going to Orlando? And she says, yes. So thank God, we ended up going to Orlando, which is good. So I was about 4 hours late getting to my wife, but she was really super thankful that, that I was going to be there, get to meet her, spend the weekend with her, and not have to drive from Tampa or Orlando or God knows where else they would have placed us for landing. We had planned this weekend for a long time together. And I had kind of have that wrench thrown in the wheel was kind of like, not fun, but we made it, and that's all that matters. So we had a fun weekend last weekend together. Drank a lot of good mixed drinks. Really didn't have anything like bougie dram amateur wise. Like no pours of anything. I did have a killer Manhattan. So we went to Disney. We did adult Disney, which is fun. So we get to not drink around the world. I still didn't conquer drinking around the world. It's like a feat of. Even in 2 days, like I wasn't structured enough in my day to figure it out. And plus we got to Epcot early on Sunday to spend a little bit of time there. When we got there, nothing was open yet. So I wanted to drink at 10 a.m., man. Like, give me a freaking break, but nothing was open till like 11 or 12. So Like I couldn't even find a drink in Japan because the things weren't open, and I just didn't want to sit around and do nothing for that long. So we decided to just book it out. But we had a lot of good drinks together. We had a lot of fun together. Rode a ton of rides. We rode Tron and the new Guardians ride and all that. So totally cool weekend. A lot of fun together. And then I think the best drink that I had of the weekend was one thing I did notice. So when we went to UK at Epcot, when we went there on Friday, we got there late. The first thing I said when we got to Epcot was like, I need a fucking drink. We were having dinner at like 6:50, I think, and it was like, I think it was almost 5 when we got there. And I'm like, I need a drink. Like I need a drink stat. So we ended up going to, I think it was at the Rose and Crown pub in UK. And they have good drinks there. And I got the green one. I think it's like the Leaping Leprechaun or whatever the hell it is. I forget what it is. But the dude made it by hand. So I remember when we went, my wife got like the hibiscus drink and I got that one. And he made both of them by hand. I literally sat there and watched him make it by hand. Now, granted, Epcot was busy at that time, but wasn't as busy as I think it was the other day. So maybe this is why, but he made them by hand. So that was kind of cool because my drink wasn't wicked green. It was definitely really good. When I went back on Sunday and needed a drink before when I was walking to dinner, just needing a drink when I was walking to dinner, it was cold, man. I needed something to stay warm. She did it like pre-mixed. It was like in a pre-mixed jar. So I was kind of disappointed the second time around. First time around, the drink was good. You walk in with an expectation and you would, obviously then have that expectation when you get it again, and it wasn't the same. So it was a little different. I was kind of disappointed by that. But anyways, it was good. Best drink I had, and best dinner and experience that we had too, if you guys go, the Coral Reef at the Coral Reef restaurant in Epcot. We ate at Le Cellier and we ate at Ohana. We had Le Cellier in Epcot. We ate at Ohana at the Polynesian Resort. Both really good food, right? I had like the bison steak, the bison sirloin, the bison steak on Friday night. We had like just the Ohana dinner on Saturday night, and the chicken's fantastic at the Ohana dinner. It's really, really good. But I always felt like you feel so rushed, like they just rush you through. That we had 2 mixed drinks at the bar outside of Ohana and Polynesian, at the Polynesian before we went into Ohana for dinner, and those drinks were really, really good. And then you order the same thing when you're in the Polynesian at Ohana, and you order the same drink and it's completely different. It's like pre-mixed. It's not the freaking same, and it drives me nuts. So that's something I got to watch out for next time I go to Disney. As hell, maybe just order 2 at the bar so I don't have to order another one when I go in the restaurant or something, because the drinks are not the same. But the food at Coral Reef was amazing. We sat right next to the tank, which was awesome. Our waiter was awesome, and the food was good, and their drinks were good. I have turned into a fan of Manhattans. Listen, love an old fashioned, right? But old like Manhattans with rye whiskey have become one of my favorites. I had not had what I considered to be I had good mixed drinks all weekend, but this was like the perfect mixed drink. I had 2 Manhattans there. They had a bar in the back supposedly, and man, it was fantastic. Bartender made 2 really good Manhattans. Really happy about that. So it was a good experience. So it was a fun weekend. Great time. If you like that sort of thing, definitely go to Disney. If you just need a getaway to act like a bunch of idiots for a couple of days, that's the place to do it. It's a lot of fun. We both said, though, after that, we walked 10.5 miles on Saturday and we walked 13.5 miles on Sunday. We both agreed that after walking, because Sunday we went to Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Magic Kingdom. So we did 3 parks in one day. We both agreed that it was a little too much. Next time we'll probably, we need to find a all-inclusive resort vacation where we sit on our ass, do nothing but drink and hang out and do some fun things during the day, and not walk 23.5 or 24 miles in 2 days. So, but good times had. So today, man, so this week when I got back home, I knew that this release was coming out. I did not know when. And it seemed like it just dropped. So all of you know that I am an Old Forester fan. I would say not an Old Forester fan of birthday bourbon. Go back and listen to the prior episodes. You'll know why. But I am an Old Forester fan for the 1920. I love all the single barrel strengths that they release. I like the new label 1910. I think it's really, really good. And Old Forester in general, man, I think it's a solid quality product. So I'm a little bit of an Old Forester fanboy. I like it. It's probably one of my top three. I think I'm Old Forester, Jack Daniels, which you guys all know, and Wild Turkey. Those are my probably three big distilleries I really, really like. So found out this week through, and I'll tell you where, through Secondary Market on Facebook, which this is going to be fantastic, but found out that Old Forester 1924 is released. I was pleasantly surprised about that because I had forgotten that it was going to be released. The 1924, if you don't know, is a annual release that Old Forester is going to do. It's part of their regular lineup, from what I understand. So it's part of their Whiskey Row series, is what they call it. The Whiskey Row series includes the 1870, the 1897 Bottled and Bond, the 1910, which I just mentioned, the Old Fine Whiskey, and then the 1920 Prohibition style, which is my favorite of all of them. Specifically, and I know I'm going to get some people that probably roll their eyes, but I believe the old label 1920 is different than the new label 1920, and the old label 1920 is a freaking banger, where I don't like the new label 1920. Different topic, different day, but this got released. Fun fact, it was on Secondary, and I'm going to let you guess the estimated retail price. Well, not retail price, but what it was going for on Secondary. I was floored. I almost spit my coffee out when I saw it. It was going for $300 a bottle on Secondary. Oh, if you bought the pair though, it was $565. You got a smidge of a discount. Kind of shocked by that. I think that the bourbon world is changing, and I'm going to share in my next episode a little bit about. I'm going to share in my next episode teaser alert. I'm going to share in my next episode a post that somebody had commented on a Facebook post that I thought was very relevant, and I wanted to share my feedback and kind of where I entered the bourbon world with this, right? Because this person that posted has been a part of this now for a while. I think a year or two before me, maybe even longer than that before me. So it's very interesting to see the mindset, the viewpoints, their thoughts on where the bourbon world is now compared to where it was when they were there. And I'd like to put my thoughts on that as well. So that's going to be our next episode. I'm going to share that with you. But this 1924 Old Forester 1924 was $300 on Secondary. MSRP on this bottle is $115. A little high, to be honest with you, for a 10-year-old bourbon. Not high, not too bad though, right? If the old logic is $10 for every 1 year, so 10 times 10 would be 100. Hey, look, I can do simple math. But if you think about it, there's a lot of 10-year-old releases that are out there that are not close to that. Russell's Reserve, or the Russell's, is out, and it's $45 for the 10-year. Eagle Rare, give or take $45.50 for it, right? It's definitely higher than other 10-year-old bourbons. So this mash bill on this is 79% corn, 11% rye, and 10% malted barley. I'll be honest with you. I'm definitely excited to try this. I will. This is a first release, so not sure how many bottles they released. I haven't seen or heard anything with that, but it is going to be an annual release. So I think it's going to be a lot like Jack Daniels, how they're doing the Jack Daniels 10, the Jack Daniels 12. They're doing them as an annual release. I think the 1924 will be the same way. I also think because it's going to be an annual release, and not part of their Whiskey Row lineup. Like I can just go in right now on the shelf and grab an 1870, 1897, 1910, or 1920 or 1920. I don't think you're going to find it as easily, which I think you're going to hear the word allocation assigned to it. So that either means one of two things, one of three things. One, you're never going to find it. It's hidden in the back. It's only for special things or special people. Two, if you do find it, MSRP is $115. You're probably going to see it marked between $150 and $200. Or three, you're not going to see it, and you're only going to get it through a raffle. Kind of disappointing, right? And this is where a lot of this whole bourbon stuff is going. And if that works for you, that's fine. But something that's 10 years old, that there's other 10-year-old competitors in the marketplace, and you have now in quality 10-year-old product in the marketplace as well. You have now this kind of allocation assigned to it, potentially. I have not seen, I'm just making assumptions right now. But if you get that 10-year-old allocation assigned to it, you make it hard to find. You start jacking the price up. I have zero interest in finding and getting this, right? I will find a pour of it somewhere at a restaurant. I will try it there. And then that way I can kind of take it off my list. And then maybe it ends up being like, as you guys know from me, my JD12, it's a thing that I constantly drink, and don't want to spend $200 on a bottle because of the I don't know, the principle of it, right? But I'll probably end up finding one. So just some of the tasting notes on this. Let's see. Nose. Just I'm reading some of the comments from breakingbourbon.com. Let's see. It immediately transitions to rich, creamy butterscotch, strong cranberry undertone, before the addition of black cherry and prune join in, cap it off seasoned oak aromas with seasoned oak grounds with aroma, with the help of hazelnut and tobacco. Extremely effective, well balanced, immediately gratifying. Right, that's awesome. Sounds fantastic. Palate: a lot of red fruits, red currants, cranberries, plums. Layer of graham cracker and light maple woven throughout. It's elegance over potency. So it's 100 proof, right? So you're not going to get the potency of it. Creamy mouthfeel, easy sipper first and foremost, wearing its heart on its sleeve. It says bourbon, red fruits shift to raspberries. A sip turns mildly dry. Oak becomes dominating flavor trait. Graham cracker, barrel char, allspice. So all those unique Old Forester notes. And depending on what bottle of single barrel proof you get, right, or barrel strength you get a lot of those notes in those. I have a very unique barrel myself that I got from Tennessee, and I absolutely love. Like, it is a very special bottle to me, and I really, really enjoy it. So this then ends up being maybe a banger in the world of Old Forester, right? Maybe this is one of those ones now that I just fall in love with and go to find. Shout out to breakingbourbon.com for the tasting notes. Appreciate that. You guys know that those are not my tasting notes because I'm a dram amateur. I would definitely not have those. And I don't even have a bottle of it yet. I haven't even seen a bottle of it yet. So we'll see. But anyways, I mean, it's very interesting. I like what Old Forester is doing. I don't know if I like what appears to be the limited nature of it, right? Because again, depending on its availability, depending on how much was released, stored, and depending on how distribution goes, right? Especially in the state of Georgia, you have to buy 17 cases of Wheatley vodka to buy, you have a case of Old Forester 1924. So if it ends up being like that, it can be really difficult. So again, and in comparison to how much better is 1924 going to be than 1920? Is it even better, right? That's a big price jump. I think you're going from $65.70 for 1920 to $115. And again, I really don't believe you're going to find this stuff at $115. I really think that you're going to end up finding it at higher than that. I think it's going to be around the 150 to 200 mark. I think maybe 150 is more on the side that I think it's going to be. But if you start looking at value, again, you got your Eagle Rares. You have your Russell's Reserve, your Russell's 10-year, right? You've got Knob Creek 12, right? You got Knob Creek 12. I mean, even the barrel picks, the single barrel picks are 9 years old as well, right? I know you got Henry McKenna 10 as well. So like there's that too. So it's a matter of where does this fit in? I mean, there's the Penelope, right? The Penelope's a 9-year too. So like where does this fit into the spectrum, right? You're talking about 115. If they allocate it and jack it up, you're talking maybe 150. Value wise, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's there. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be, everybody's going to chase. So I'm not going to find it. I don't think it's released in Georgia yet. I think I had heard through some of the Facebook posts that it is released in Tennessee. I think the wife and I are going to take a trip up to Tennessee here in about 3 weeks. So we'll see if I find it. Will I buy a bottle at 115? I probably will buy one bottle at 115. I think you guys know me well enough by now that that I would try it. I don't buy much anymore, especially bourbon, especially purchasing too. I did just do a haul of rum recently, but we won't talk about that. But the bourbon world is a little, I'm trying to drink through what I have, which is enough to last me probably till the day I die. So I'm trying not to buy too much and go crazy on it. But I'd be curious to hear from you guys, right? Are you interested in 1924? What are you excited about? Have you found a bottle of it yet? I think that's even more important. If you have found a bottle, where did you find it? Maybe not store, but what state are you in, right? What did you pay for it? I think those would be the two most curious things to me. And I won't judge you, right? If you paid $150, $200 for it, to each their own, right? That is your thing. You pay more. That's completely up to you. If it's something you want, listen, I've paid plenty more for bottles that I've wanted in the past than they were for MSRP. So I have absolutely zero right to judge you. But I'd be really interested, right? Did you find a bottle of 19? First of all, are you excited about it, right? Do you like what Old Forester's doing? Are you like me? At any time you see a bottle of Old Forester single barrel strength that's correctly priced, you buy it. Also, I'm the same way with Russell's, right? If I find a Russell's pick, I am totally buying it. Do you do that? So when you go look, are you going to go look for that 1924 on the shelf to see if it's there? What are you willing to pay for it? What's your price point? Did you buy it, right? What did you pay for it? Or are you willing to buy it? And what is your price point? What are you looking at? Are you not going over 150? Will you go up to 200? Will you pay 150? Obviously 115 is MSRP. So if you really want to buy it, you're going to be buying it at that much. But what's your thoughts on it, right? I'd be really curious to hear. And if you found one, what did you pay for it? What do you think of it? Is it really that much different than the other Old Forester product, right? How much different is it than 1920? I'd be really curious to hear, or how much different is it than the single barrel strength picks, right? Is the flavor profile similar to any that you've had? Or is it completely different? I'd be really curious to hear from you. So definitely reach out to me on Instagram, share your feedback with me. Definitely appreciate it. Thanks guys all for listening. You guys, we wouldn't be here without all of you. Do me a favor. If you listen to the podcast, first of all, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Secondly, if you haven't already, give us a review. Give me a 5-star rating if you feel so inclined to. Give me a review. If you have ideas for the podcast, definitely reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. I got a few things in the works that I need to start to work on and put some effort toward, but I would love to hear from you if you guys have ideas, something you want to hear, something I could do better. Just reach out to me and interact with me, right? Especially like I just said, like, right, have you tried 1924? Did you find it? Are you interested in it? Are you excited for it? Those kind of things. But thanks guys all for your support. Very much appreciate it. And cheers. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Take care and talk to you soon. This has been the Dram Amateur Podcast.